Why are some people instantly respected, heard, and followed, while others are ignored? Think about this. Two people walk into a room. One speaks, and everyone listens. The other speaks, and no one even notices. What makes the difference? It's not about being smarter, having better looks, or even having more experience. It all comes down to communication. The way we express ourselves, whether through our words, body language, or tone, determines how people perceive us. But the most powerful communicators understand something fundamental. Before you even say a word, you're already communicating. Every interaction begins before you even open your mouth. It starts the moment you walk into a room, when you make eye contact, or when you stand with your shoulders back, signaling confidence. It's the energy you bring into the space that either draws people toward you or pushes them away. And most of us don't realize how much our communication is shaped by these subtle, unconscious signals. We often forget that what we say is only part of the equation. The other part is how we say it. Now, here's the kicker. We spend so much time learning facts, mastering skills, or improving our appearance. But when it comes to communication, it's often overlooked. The truth is, schools don't teach us how to speak with impact. Most workplaces don't train us in how to present our ideas clearly and persuasively. Even in families, we rarely discuss how to truly listen to each other, how to understand the emotions behind the words, or how to create trust with just a few simple shifts in how we express ourselves. And this is exactly where you can level up. Learning the art of communication isn't just a nice to have. It's the foundation of all success. You could be the smartest person in the room, but if you can't explain your ideas clearly, no one will listen. You might have the best intentions, but if you can't express them effectively, they might be misunderstood or dismissed. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being clear, confident, and consistent in how you communicate your thoughts, your needs, and your emotions. Think about it. Great leaders, CEOs, teachers, pastors, influencers, whoever you admire, they all have one thing in common. They know how to speak in a way that moves people. They don't just talk. They make people feel what they're saying. But communication isn't just about words. It's much more. In this section, we will start by breaking down communication's essential components. Let's take a closer look at the layers you communicate with daily, whether you realize it or not. We've all heard it before. Listen more than you speak. But let's pause for a moment. What does true listening actually look like? We're not talking about nodding politely or waiting for your turn to speak. This is about listening with purpose, a skill that, when mastered, can completely transform the way you communicate. In any conversation, the vast majority of us are waiting to respond, our minds already formulating the words we're going to say next. How many times have you caught yourself interrupting or finishing someone's sentence because you already knew what they were going to say? It feels natural, doesn't it? We're eager to share our thoughts, to add to the conversation, but this instinctual need to respond can actually hinder true connection. Why? Because when we listen with the intention of responding, we're not really hearing the other person. We're merely hearing their words as a cue to launch into our own narrative. It's reactive, not responsive. And in that gap, the richness of the conversation, the heart of what's really being said, is lost. Think back to a time when you felt truly listened to. Maybe it was a conversation with a friend, a partner, or even a colleague who gave you their full attention. No distractions, no rushing to reply. They were present, and you could feel it. Their eyes, their body language, their focus, all aligned to show you that, in that moment, you had their undivided attention. How did that feel? Powerful, right? This is active listening. It's not just about hearing someone's words, it's about absorbing the meaning behind them. And when you master this, you create a bond that is rare in today's world of constant distractions. Now, I want to challenge you. The next time you speak to someone, make a conscious decision to listen first and foremost. Drop any agenda you have. Let go of the need to speak, to fill the silence with your own ideas. Instead, focus entirely on what the other person is sharing. Allow them to express themselves fully, without interruption. You'll be surprised by how much you learn, not just about them, but about the conversation itself. You'll uncover nuances, emotions, and underlying thoughts that you would have missed if you were already thinking about what you were going to say. Listening this way isn't always easy. It requires a level of self-discipline and patience. Often, we listen just enough to formulate a response, or we listen with a defensive mindset, waiting for the other person to say something that we can challenge. But when you listen to understand, something magical happens. The connection deepens. By actively engaging in the conversation, you're giving the other person space to fully express themselves. You're showing them that their voice matters, that their words are worth your attention, and you're cultivating an environment where authenticity and vulnerability can thrive. You may be wondering, why does this matter so much? The answer is simple. People need to feel heard. It's a fundamental human need. When someone feels listened to, they feel understood. They feel respected. And this goes beyond just conversation. It impacts how we build relationships, whether personal or professional. But it's not just about them. When you learn to truly listen, you benefit too. You gain insight into the other person's feelings, thoughts, and desires. You begin to pick up on subtle cues, body language, tone, pauses, things they may not even be consciously aware of. These cues can tell you more than words ever could. They provide context, emotion, and the real story behind the conversation. You see, it's easy to assume we understand what someone is saying, but when you listen with intent, you break free from assumptions. You start asking deeper questions, ones that go beyond the surface. What do you really mean by that? Or, how did that make you feel? These questions don't just keep the conversation flowing. They show the other person that you care about their experience, that you value their perspective. Now, let's address something critical: the silences in communication. Too often, we rush to fill the gaps. We jump in to offer solutions, to give advice, or even to share our own stories. But sometimes, silence is golden. It's in these pauses that the real truths surface. People feel safe to express their true thoughts when they know they have the time and space to think and speak freely. Listening isn't passive, it's an active practice. It's about engaging, being fully present, and offering your attention, which is often the most valuable gift you can give someone. But let's not kid ourselves. This takes practice. Most people don't have this level of listening ingrained. It's something you build over time, one conversation at a time. So, here's what I want you to take away. When you approach listening with purpose, you create a deeper connection with the other person. You move beyond the surface-level exchange of words and tap into the emotions, motivations, and intentions that fuel the conversation. This isn't just a soft skill. It's an incredibly powerful tool for building trust, resolving conflicts, and fostering meaningful relationships. But listening is just one piece of the puzzle. As you've probably guessed, there's a lot more to communication than just hearing the words. Now, we're going to explore another critical element: your body language. How the way you carry yourself, how you look at people, and how you move all contribute to the message you're conveying. So far, we've explored the power of listening with purpose and how that's one of the most effective tools in building stronger communication. But here's something that most people overlook: body language. Did you know that a staggering 70% of communication is nonverbal? That means the majority of what you say isn't coming from your words, but from the way you move, stand, and react. Your body is constantly speaking, even when you're not saying a word. It's like an unspoken language, one that is understood on a deep, almost instinctual level. Think about this for a second. The last time you met someone new, what made you form your first impression of them? Was it just what they said? Or was it the way they carried themselves, the way they looked at you, or the way they held their posture? These silent cues tell you more about someone's confidence, their openness, and even their emotional state than words ever could. It's all about presence, how you show up, how you position yourself, and how you make others feel when you're around. And the amazing part is that you have the power to control this language. It's not about faking confidence. It's about cultivating a physical presence that aligns with the message you want to convey. Imagine entering a room. You're carrying a bit of nervous energy. Your shoulders are slumped, and you're avoiding eye contact. People can feel that. They sense your uncertainty, even if you don't say a word. They might even begin to pull away without fully realizing why. Now, imagine walking into the same room, but this time, your shoulders are back, your chin is up, and your body is open. You're smiling and making eye contact. Suddenly, you're the person everyone wants to talk to. You're radiating confidence and openness, and people instinctively want to connect with you. This isn't magic. It's the power of body language. It's the way you position yourself in a room, how you use gestures, and how you make eye contact. Your posture tells people if you're open to conversation or closed off. Eye contact can show that you're trustworthy, engaged, and present in the moment. A warm smile can disarm even the most tense situations, making others feel safe and at ease. But let's be honest, this isn't always as simple as it sounds. Many of us struggle with body language, especially when we're feeling insecure or overwhelmed. You've probably found yourself in situations where your body language didn't match your intentions. Maybe you crossed your arms when you were feeling defensive, or avoided eye contact because you were nervous. These behaviors happen naturally, but they also send mixed signals to those around you. Here's how you can shift it. 1. Stand tall and relaxed. When you're in a conversation or meeting, focus on your posture. Standing or sitting with your back straight not only makes you appear more confident, but also helps you feel more confident. It signals to your brain that you're ready and engaged. You don't have to puff your chest out or adopt a military stance. Just keep your spine aligned and your body open. 2. Use open gestures. Crossing your arms can subconsciously signal defensiveness, even if that's not your intention. Instead, try keeping your arms uncrossed and using open hand gestures when you speak. This shows that you're approachable and receptive. It creates an inviting atmosphere that encourages people to engage with you. 3. Make intentional eye contact. Eye contact is one of the most powerful tools in body language. It shows confidence, attentiveness, and respect. But there's a balance. Too little eye contact can make you seem disinterested or untrustworthy, while too much can come off as intimidating. The key is to maintain a comfortable level of eye contact, breaking it naturally every few seconds. This makes the conversation feel more connected and authentic. 4. Be mindful of your facial expressions. Your face is one of the most expressive parts of your body. It communicates a lot of information, often without you realizing it. When you're speaking, pay attention to what your face is doing. Are you frowning? Are your eyebrows furrowed? A relaxed, calm expression signals that you're open to hearing and understanding the other person. And when you smile, even a subtle one, it can create an instant bond. 5. Be aware of your tone. While we're talking about body language, it's important to note that your tone plays a huge role in how your body language is perceived. A confident posture paired with a shaky, uncertain voice sends mixed signals. But when your voice is calm, steady, and clear, it reinforces the confidence you project through your body. Because body language sets the tone of the entire conversation before you even speak. It helps people make quick judgments about you, and it has the power to influence how they respond to you. Are you approachable? Are you confident? Are you trustworthy? Your body answers these questions without you saying a word. Think about it. When someone walks into a room with their shoulders slouched, eyes glued to the ground, they immediately come across as unsure. But when someone enters with their head held high, smiling and making eye contact, they radiate authority and warmth. Which person would you feel more comfortable talking to? Now, let's be clear. I'm not saying you need to be perfect with your body language, or that you need to constantly force yourself into a confident pose. It's about being aware of the signals you're sending and adjusting them to align with your intentions. Body language is not about being fake. It's about being intentional. When you bring purpose and awareness to your physical presence, you send a message that you're engaged, confident, and approachable. You make others feel seen, heard, and valued. And isn't that what great communication is all about? But body language doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's connected to your emotional state, and it directly impacts how others perceive your mood and energy. This leads us to the next critical component of effective communication: emotional intelligence. How we manage our own emotions and read those of others can profoundly shape how well we connect and communicate. So, let's dive into how understanding emotions can help you communicate better, not just with words, but with your heart. Now that we've explored how body language and nonverbal cues speak volumes, let's turn to one of the most powerful and often overlooked tools in communication: emotional intelligence, EI. So, what exactly is emotional intelligence? It's the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions, while also recognizing, understanding, and influencing the emotions of others. It's more than just being in touch with your feelings. It's about cultivating a deep awareness of how emotions shape our communication, decisions, and relationships. It's how we respond to stress, connect with others, and manage conflict. Emotional intelligence is the foundation of great communication. Think about the last time you had an emotionally charged conversation. Maybe you were upset. Maybe they were How did the emotions of both parties influence the way the conversation went? When emotions are high, logic often takes a back seat, and communication can quickly spiral into misunderstanding or conflict. But when emotional intelligence is at play, even the toughest conversations can lead to deeper understanding and connection. Let's break down the key components of emotional intelligence. 1. Self-awareness. The first step toward emotional intelligence is understanding your own emotions. It's about being able to name what you're feeling in the moment. Are you anxious, frustrated, excited, or calm? When you can pinpoint your emotions, you can better understand how they might influence your communication. For instance, if you're feeling anxious, your voice might come across as shaky, or you might fidget more than usual. Recognizing this allows you to manage your emotions more effectively, choosing a calmer response rather than letting anxiety dictate your words. 2. Self-regulation. Once you're aware of your emotions, the next step is regulating them. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means choosing how you respond to them. For example, if you're angry, self-regulation allows you to pause before reacting impulsively. Instead of snapping back in frustration, you take a deep breath and decide to express your anger in a more constructive way. Self-regulation helps you keep your emotions in check, preventing them from hijacking your communication. 3. Empathy. The next component of emotional intelligence is the ability to feel what others are feeling. It's one thing to hear someone's words, but it's another to truly understand their emotional state. Empathy goes beyond surface-level listening. It's about tuning into the emotions behind the words. If someone is upset but doesn't say why, empathy allows you to pick up on their subtle cues, the tension in their voice, the lack of eye contact, their closed-off posture, and respond with compassion. Empathy helps you connect with others on a deeper level and shows that you care about their emotional experience, not just the facts they're presenting. 4. Social skills. The final aspect of emotional intelligence is your ability to navigate social situations. This involves managing your relationships, resolving conflicts, and communicating effectively with others. Strong social skills allow you to build trust, maintain harmony, and influence people in a positive way. Whether you're leading a team or having a conversation with a friend, social skills are essential for creating an environment where open, honest communication can thrive. Emotional intelligence is the secret sauce that helps you connect with others, understand their perspectives, and communicate in a way that fosters trust and collaboration. When you're in touch with your emotions and the emotions of others, you become more aware of how to tailor your communication to the situation. You know when to step back and listen, when to offer support, and when to assert yourself. You understand when someone is not being completely honest, or when they're too upset to think clearly. But EI doesn't just help you in conversations with others. It also improves how you communicate with yourself. The way you speak to yourself has a huge impact on your emotional state. If you're constantly being self-critical or negative, it will affect your confidence and influence how you communicate with others. But when you practice emotional intelligence, you become kinder to yourself. You give yourself space to feel your emotions without letting them control you. This self-compassion helps you approach communication from a place of calm and clarity, rather than from a place of fear or insecurity. How to develop your emotional intelligence. 1. Practice mindfulness. One of the best ways to build self-awareness is by practicing mindfulness. This means slowing down, paying attention to your thoughts and feelings, and observing how they impact your behavior. Mindfulness allows you to notice when your emotions are starting to rise so that you can regulate them before they influence your communication. 2. Journaling. Writing about your feelings can help you process them and gain more clarity about your emotional state. It's a simple yet effective way to build self-awareness. By taking a moment each day to reflect on your emotions, you can start identifying patterns and triggers that influence how you communicate. 3. Listen actively and empathetically. Building empathy requires you to listen deeply to others. When someone shares something with you, try to tune into their emotions as much as their words. Practice active listening by not only hearing what they say, but also by picking up on the underlying emotions. Responding empathetically shows that you understand their feelings, which builds trust and strengthens your relationship. 4. Manage stress. Emotional intelligence also involves knowing how to manage stress and emotions in high-pressure situations. When you're stressed, it can be easy to react impulsively or lose control. By practicing stress-reducing techniques like deep breathing, exercise, or meditation, you can stay calm and collected even in difficult conversations. 5. Build strong relationships. Emotional intelligence is all about connecting with others. Building meaningful relationships takes time and effort, but it's worth it. The more you practice empathy, active listening, and effective communication, the stronger your relationships will become. As you build trust, you'll find that your influence grows and your conversations become more productive and fulfilling. When you're emotionally intelligent, your communication becomes more authentic, more meaningful, and more effective. People feel heard and understood. They feel safe and valued. You no longer have to rely on words alone to get your message across. Your tone, your body language, and your emotional awareness work together to create a cohesive and powerful message. But emotional intelligence doesn't just make you a better communicator. It also helps you navigate conflict. Let's face it, conflict is inevitable. No matter how much you like someone or how well you get along, disagreements are going to happen. The key isn't to avoid conflict, it's to handle it with grace and emotional maturity. And that's where emotional intelligence really shines. With emotional intelligence, you can stay calm and focused in difficult situations. You can respond with empathy instead of defensiveness, and you can create a space for open, honest dialogue. By managing your own emotions and recognizing the emotions of others, you can turn conflict into an opportunity for growth and connection. As we move forward, we'll explore how emotional intelligence intersects with the next critical element of effective communication: tone of voice. Your tone plays a huge role in how your message is received. It has the power to either build connection or create barriers. Let's dive into how you can harness the power of your voice to communicate with purpose. Now that we've explored how emotional intelligence forms the backbone of meaningful communication, let's talk about one of the most underestimated yet powerful aspects of communication: tone of voice. Your tone is the melody behind your words, the rhythm, the emotion, and the energy that gives life to what you say. Think about the same sentence being spoken by different people. "I'm so happy for you," said with warmth, excitement, and a smile, feels completely different than the same words uttered flatly, with no emotion. And it feels even more different when it's said with a sarcastic tone. The words are the same, but the message is entirely altered. Tone adds the depth that words alone can't provide. In fact, Studies have shown that tone of voice can account for up to 38% of the emotional impact of a conversation. That's right. More than a third of how we perceive a message comes from how it's delivered, not just the content. It's no wonder why people often say, "It's not what you said, but how you said it." Your tone carries the emotion behind the message and plays a crucial role in how your listener interprets your words. Let's break it down with an example. Imagine you're telling someone you love them. If you say, "I love you," with a genuine, soft tone, your words will likely be received with warmth and affection. But if you say the same words with a cold, flat tone, they may not feel the sincerity behind them. In fact, they might even feel rejected or unimportant. Think about the power of anger in tone. When you're upset, your voice naturally rises in pitch and volume. Your words might become more clipped, and your body might tense up. Anger is contagious, just as a calm tone can soothe a situation. An angry tone can escalate conflict. The difference lies in how you control your emotional state. A deep breath, pausing to collect your thoughts, and lowering your voice can help you express frustration without triggering defensiveness in others. Tone is also critical in building rapport. Think of the people you feel most comfortable with. They likely have a tone that makes you feel at ease, not threatened or judged. When you speak with warmth, softness, and care, it invites connection. It's one of the main reasons empathy is so tied to tone. You could be expressing concern, but if your tone is harsh or dismissive, your listener won't feel heard or cared for. On the other hand, when you speak with empathy, kindness, and openness in your voice, you communicate understanding without needing to say everything explicitly. But here's the challenge. We often don't realize how our tone is coming across. We might be in a hurry, frustrated, or distracted, and suddenly, our voice reflects that without us even knowing. Ever been in a conversation where you didn't intend to sound irritated, but it came out that way anyway? Or maybe you've heard someone say, "I didn't mean it like that," after their words, tone, or body language made the other person upset. Tone is subtle, but it's incredibly powerful. How to master your tone. 1. Be aware of your emotional state. The first step in mastering your tone is awareness. How are you feeling in the moment? If you're feeling stressed, anxious, or angry, your tone will reflect that. But by recognizing those emotions before they take control, you can choose to adjust your tone accordingly. The key is to pause before responding, taking a deep breath, and grounding yourself. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. It means expressing them thoughtfully, ensuring your tone aligns with the message you want to convey. 2. Match your tone to your message. Ask yourself, what is the emotion you want to convey? If you're giving a compliment, your tone should be warm and enthusiastic. If you're offering constructive feedback, your tone should be gentle and supportive. If you're apologizing, your tone should be humble and sincere. Matching your tone to your words doesn't mean sounding perfect. It means being authentic and intentional with how you communicate the emotion behind your message. 3. Slow down and regulate your pace. Speed plays a huge role in tone. When we're nervous, excited, or stressed, our speech tends to speed up. We may rush through sentences, making it harder for others to understand or follow. By consciously slowing down, you give your words more weight. A slower pace signals calmness and control, which allows others to process and absorb your message more effectively. It also gives you the chance to choose your words thoughtfully and align your tone with your intentions. 4. Use pauses to your advantage. Pauses are incredibly powerful. When you pause before responding, it not only helps you collect your thoughts, but it also gives your words more impact. A well-timed pause allows your tone to land. Imagine you're telling a story or making an important point. You don't want to rush through it. A brief pause after a key sentence invites your listener to reflect, letting your message resonate with them on a deeper level. Silence creates space for meaning to settle in. 5. Consider the environment. Your tone can be influenced by the setting or situation. Are you speaking one-on-one with someone? Or are you in a large group? Are you in a professional setting? Or are you talking to a close friend? A formal setting may require a more measured tone, while a casual conversation may allow for more flexibility and warmth. Tailoring your tone to fit the environment helps ensure that your communication remains appropriate and well received. When you master your tone, you become more than just an effective communicator. You become someone who can influence and inspire. Your tone helps to foster trust. People feel safe and heard when your voice matches the sincerity of your words. It's no coincidence that leaders, mentors, and role models often possess the ability to communicate with both clarity and empathy. They speak with purpose, and their tone carries the weight of that purpose, making their words resonate with others. Think about the leaders who inspire you. Their words stick with you because their tone carries conviction and sincerity. You don't need to be loud or forceful to be heard. In fact, sometimes a soft, calm voice can have a more powerful effect than shouting. Your tone creates a magnetic presence that draws people in, making them feel understood and validated. But just as tone can build trust, it can also break it. A harsh, condescending, or dismissive tone can make someone shut down. It can damage a relationship and create distance. Tone can make the difference between a productive conversation and a toxic one. So, when you learn to master your tone, you gain the ability to steer your conversations toward connection, respect, and understanding. Now that we've talked about how to control and harness the power of tone, let's move on to another critical element: clarity. Even if your tone is perfect, if your message isn't clear, it's all for nothing. Clarity is the bridge that connects your thoughts to the listener's understanding. Let's dive into how you can improve the clarity of your message. Now that we've explored the power of tone in shaping how others perceive us and our messages, let's shift gears and focus on another critical aspect of communication: clarity. It doesn't matter how warm, empathetic, or confident your tone is. If your message isn't clear, it's all wasted effort. Clarity is the foundation of effective communication. Without it, even the most impactful words can fall flat, and the most well-intentioned messages can be misinterpreted or ignored. To be understood, your message must be clear, direct, and easy to follow. Think about a time when you tried to convey something important, but it didn't quite land. Perhaps you were talking to a friend, explaining a concept at work, or sharing a personal feeling. But no matter how hard you tried, the person just didn't seem to understand. Maybe they got distracted, misunderstood your point, or even tuned out completely. Why did that happen? Chances are, it wasn't because you weren't speaking clearly. It was because your message wasn't structured in a way that made it easy to digest. You might have used long, convoluted sentences, filled your speech with unnecessary details, or failed to explain your main idea effectively. Clarity is about simplifying your message so that it's easy for others to grasp. regardless of how complex the topic may be. Let's take a step back for a moment. The goal isn't to make your message overly simplistic, it's to make it understandable. You can communicate a complex idea in a way that anyone can understand. The key lies in how you organize and present your thoughts. Clarity isn't just about using simple words, it's about structure. A message is most effective when it has a clear beginning, middle, and end. But more importantly, it should follow a logical flow. If you're presenting an idea or trying to make a point, it's essential to know what your main message is and focus on that. Too often, we get caught up in details that distract from the core message. For instance, if you're explaining how a new project will work, don't overwhelm your audience with all the minute details from the get-go. Instead, start with a clear overview. What is the goal of the project? And why does it matter? Once your listener has the big picture, you can delve into the specifics. Use the headline-first approach. Lead with the most important point, and then build upon it. Here's how you can increase clarity in your communication. 1. Know your main message. Before you even start speaking, ask yourself, what is the key message I want to convey? This might seem obvious, but it's surprising how many times we speak without being clear on what we actually want to communicate. When you have a crystal clear idea of the core message, you can build your conversation around that. 2. Organize your thoughts. Before diving into a conversation, take a moment to structure your ideas. Think of it like preparing for a speech. Start with an opening that introduces the main point. Explain it with relevant examples, and finish by reiterating the key takeaway. Even in casual conversations, this structure can help your listener follow along and stay engaged. 3. Use simple language. Simplicity doesn't mean dumbing things down. It means removing unnecessary jargon and complexity. Use straightforward words and clear examples. If you need to explain something complex, break it into manageable chunks and explain it in plain language. By focusing on clarity, you make it easier for others to grasp what you're saying, no matter how complicated the subject matter might be. 4. Avoid rambling. We've all been there, getting so excited about a topic that we end up speaking in circles. But rambling dilutes your message and leaves your listener confused. To prevent this, keep your sentences short and to the point. Focus on one idea at a time, and only move on to the next when the previous one has been fully communicated. 5. Use pauses effectively. Pauses aren't just for dramatic effect. They also give your listener a moment to process what you've said. A pause after key points allows the listener to absorb and reflect. It's a powerful way to make sure your main message lands. 6. Ask for feedback. To gauge if your message is clear, ask the listener for feedback. A simple, "Does that make sense?" or "Do you have any questions about that?" opens the door for clarification and shows that you care about ensuring they understand. If you've ever been in a meeting where someone was rambling or speaking in circles, you know how frustrating it can be. Clarity is especially important in professional settings because time is often limited, and people's attention spans are short. The clearer you are, the more likely your colleagues will pay attention, understand your ideas, and act on them. Take presentations, for example. Whether you're pitching a project, presenting a report, or sharing an update, your ability to present information clearly is what will make or break the success of your message. You could have the best ideas, but if you're unable to articulate them in a way that others can easily grasp, you risk losing your audience. Instead, practice concise communication. Start with a clear objective. What do you want your audience to do with the information? What is the one thing you want them to remember? Once you have that goal in mind, structure your presentation so it logically leads the listener to that conclusion. Clarity isn't just for professional situations. It's equally important in personal relationships. Misunderstandings are often the root of conflict. When emotions are involved, it's easy for messages to get muddled, and assumptions can quickly take hold. For example, in an argument with a partner, have you ever found yourself thinking, "I didn't say that," or "That's not what I meant"? Misunderstandings happen when we fail to be clear with our words. Instead of speaking in vague terms or leaving things open to interpretation, be as specific as possible. Clearly express what you feel, what you need, and why it matters to you. It's important to remember that clarity is about intention, even when discussing difficult topics or giving critical feedback. Make sure your intentions are clearly communicated. If your intention is to help, to understand, or to resolve the issue, let that be evident in your words. When you communicate clearly, people trust you more. Why? Because you show respect for their time and attention. When someone can easily follow your reasoning, they feel more confident in your ability to solve problems, make decisions, or offer guidance. Clear communication also reduces the chances of misinterpretation, making it more likely that your listener will act on your ideas as you intended. Remember, clarity doesn't mean perfection. It's okay to make mistakes or stumble over your words sometimes. What's most important is that you consistently make the effort to improve your communication and reduce confusion. Now that you understand the importance of clarity, let's move on to the next key element of great communication: asking the right questions. In the next section, we'll explore how questions can help you connect with others, deepen conversations, and build stronger relationships. A good question can be far more impactful than a good answer. Let's unlock the power of inquiry. Now that we've explored the crucial role clarity plays in communication, let's dive into another powerful tool: questions. Specifically, we're going to explore the art of asking meaningful questions, the kind that build connection, invite deeper understanding, and foster real engagement. Many people think that being a good communicator means having all the answers. But in reality, the most effective communicators are often the best at asking the right questions. Think about it. A great question has the power to unlock someone's thoughts, open up hidden emotions, and create a space for meaningful dialogue. When you ask a question with intention, you show that you care about the other person's perspective. You show that you're not just trying to fill silence or steer the conversation in your direction. You're genuinely curious and invested in hearing what they have to say. Questions are not only tools for gathering information, they are bridges. They help you cross from one person's mind to another's. They open doors to new ideas, new feelings, and new insights that wouldn't be uncovered with simple statements or surface-level chatter. A simple question can change the entire course of a conversation. Consider this. If you've ever been in a conversation where someone asked, "What's been on your mind lately?" or "How are you really feeling?" How did it make you feel? Did you feel more heard, more understood? These questions don't just invite a fine or okay response. They ask for something deeper. They encourage reflection, vulnerability, and authentic sharing. When you ask thoughtful, reflective questions, you create space for the other person to express themselves fully. Instead of simply answering a question with a fact or a brief response, They're invited to explore their thoughts and feelings in a way that strengthens the connection between you both. The question becomes the door to a deeper understanding, and you are the one holding the key. Now, the key to asking impactful questions lies in their quality. Not all questions are created equal. There's a huge difference between asking someone, "How was your day?" and asking, "What was the best part of your day?" The first question is safe. It's something people hear all the time. It's polite, but doesn't inspire deeper engagement. But the second question invites the listener to think, reflect, and share something meaningful. It's open-ended, it's curious, and it invites more than just a one-word answer. There are different kinds of questions, and each serves a specific purpose. Let's break down a few key types. 1. Open-ended questions. These are the kind of questions that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. They require the listener to think and elaborate. For example, "Oh, what's something you're passionate about?" "Oh, can you tell me more about how that experience made you feel?" Open-ended questions invite the other person to share their story, their opinions, and their feelings in more depth. They foster conversation and give the speaker room to express themselves fully. 2. Curiosity-driven questions. These questions are born out of genuine curiosity. They seek to understand the other person's world, experiences, and emotions. A curiosity-driven question often starts with how or why. For example, "Oh, how did that challenge change your perspective?" "Oh, why do you think that's so important to you?" These types of questions show that you're not just asking to pass the time or fulfill social norms. You're truly interested in learning more about the person. It invites them to go deeper into their thoughts, which often leads to a richer conversation. 3. Empathetic questions. Sometimes, the best question you can ask is one that demonstrates empathy, that shows you're attuned to the other person's emotions. For example, "Oh, that sounds tough. How are you handling it?" "Oh, I can see this is important to you. What do you need most right now?" Empathetic questions create a safe space for vulnerability and can help ease emotional tension. They communicate understanding and allow the other person to express themselves without fear of judgment. 4. Reflective questions. These questions help the speaker reflect on their experiences and feelings. They encourage introspection and can lead to deeper self-awareness. For example, "Oh, what did you learn from that situation?" "Oh, how did that experience shape who you are today?" Reflective questions give the other person the opportunity to pause and think about their thoughts and experiences in a new light. They can help them discover insights about themselves that they hadn't considered before. Great communicators are skilled at asking questions that build trust. Why? Because asking the right questions shows genuine care and attention. When you ask someone a question that shows you're really interested in them, not just in what they can offer you, but in who they are as a person, you invite them to open up and share. This process creates an emotional bond that strengthens your relationship, whether it's professional or personal. But there's another layer to it. Asking questions also shows vulnerability on your part. When you ask someone to share their thoughts or experiences, you're saying, "I'm open to hearing your truth, and I value your input." This can feel empowering to the other person, especially if they've been in situations where their opinions or feelings haven't been fully heard. Conversely, when you ask shallow, dismissive, or disinterested questions, it can create distance. If people feel like you're just going through the motions of conversation, They'll sense that you're not truly interested in them. And no matter how much you talk, without genuine interest, the connection will remain surface level. How to ask powerful questions. 1. Be fully present. Before you ask a question, focus on the person in front of you. Put away distractions, make eye contact, and listen actively. This shows that you're invested in the conversation. 2. Avoid judgment. Ask questions with the intention to understand, not to judge. When you ask a question, leave room for different perspectives and avoid leading questions that push the conversation in a specific direction. 3. Don't rush. Allow the other person time to reflect on your question. Don't jump in immediately with your own opinion or answer. The silence that follows a thoughtful question can lead to deeper insights. 4. Follow up. Don't just ask one question and move on. Show that you're listening by asking follow-up questions. This can be something like, "Tell me more about that," or "How did that make you feel?" Follow-up questions help keep the conversation flowing and invite more thoughtful responses. 5. Be specific. General questions can sometimes lead to vague answers. Instead, ask questions that are focused and invite more detailed responses. For instance, instead of asking, "How's work?" try, "What's been the most rewarding project you've worked on recently?" When you ask better questions, you're not just improving your communication skills, you're building stronger relationships, gaining deeper insights, and fostering a culture of understanding and respect. People appreciate being asked questions that show genuine curiosity. It makes them feel heard and valued, and it strengthens the connection between you both. And here's the best part. Asking powerful questions isn't just something for intimate conversations or business meetings. It works everywhere. Whether you're talking to a friend, a colleague, a family member, or even a stranger, asking thoughtful questions can turn any interaction into a meaningful exchange. One of the most powerful times to use questions is when you're in a conflict. In these moments, emotions are high, and it can be easy to become defensive. But asking open, non-accusatory questions can diffuse tension and create space for understanding. For example, instead of saying, "You always do this to me," try, "What made you feel that way?" Instead of saying, "Why are you so upset?" try, "Can you help me understand what's going on?" Questions like these not only reduce defensiveness, they show that you're willing to listen and understand, even if you don't agree with the other person's perspective. As we move forward, you'll learn how the power of asking questions interacts with yet another critical element of communication: handling difficult conversations with grace. Conversations where emotions run high can be some of the most challenging, but they also offer a chance to strengthen your connections. Let's dive into how you can navigate these moments without losing your cool. As we explore the nuances of communication, it's time to address one of the most challenging yet rewarding aspects of conversation: handling difficult conversations. We all know that not every conversation is going to be smooth sailing. At some point, whether in personal relationships, at work, or with a friend, we'll find ourselves facing a tough conversation. These moments, when emotions run high and stakes are elevated, are often the ones we try to avoid. But avoiding difficult conversations only prolongs the discomfort and can lead to unresolved issues or deeper misunderstandings. So, how do you navigate these moments with grace? The answer lies in one critical skill: emotional control. When we feel overwhelmed, angry, or defensive, our natural response is to react impulsively. But great communicators don't react. They respond. It's this deliberate, thoughtful approach that makes all the difference. By learning how to handle difficult conversations with emotional intelligence, you not only manage the conflict better, but you also come out stronger on the other side. In any difficult conversation, the first step is pausing. Often, when we're upset, we're quick to speak, to defend ourselves, or to make our point. But reacting in the heat of the moment can lead to things being said that can't be taken back. So, how do you avoid falling into this trap? Take a breath. Literally, 1 deep breath. 2 if needed. A simple pause allows you to ground yourself and gives your emotions a chance to settle. This is self-regulation in action. By taking a pause, you are giving yourself the space to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. And that small moment of control can change the entire course of the conversation. Let's say you're in an argument with a partner. You feel hurt by something they've said, and your first instinct is to snap back, to defend yourself, or to retaliate. Instead of reacting immediately, take a deep breath, count to 3, and then speak. That pause gives you a moment to choose your response wisely. It allows you to separate your emotional reaction from the conversation, and it lets you choose the words that will move the conversation forward instead of escalating the conflict. Listening is an essential skill in any conversation, but it becomes even more critical when emotions are high. In difficult conversations, we tend to stop listening and start planning our next response. But this is the moment when listening with empathy is most needed. It's easy to jump in with your own thoughts, especially when you feel hurt or misunderstood. However, when both parties are speaking over each other, nothing gets resolved. Listen carefully to what the other person is saying, and don't interrupt. Even if you disagree with their perspective, give them the space to share. When you show that you are actively listening, it calms the other person down, allowing them to feel heard and validated. This, in turn, increases the chances that they will listen to you in return. Here's a tip. Use reflective listening. This means repeating back what the other person is saying to make sure you understand them correctly. You might say, "What I'm hearing is that you're feeling upset because of what happened last week. Is that right?" This not only shows that you're paying attention, but it also creates an opportunity for clarification. When people feel understood, they're much more likely to engage in a productive conversation. One of the best ways to keep a difficult conversation from turning into a full-blown argument is to use I statements instead of you statements. This simple shift can make a world of difference in how your message is received. Instead of saying, "You always ignore my feelings," try, "I feel hurt when I don't feel heard." By focusing on your own feelings and experiences, rather than pointing fingers or accusing the other person, you reduce the chances of them becoming defensive. I statements are a non-confrontational way to express your emotions, and they invite the other person to respond in kind. When you frame your emotions as personal experiences, you open up the space for understanding. You're not blaming, you're sharing. This shift in language creates a more compassionate and respectful environment, even in the middle of conflict. Another critical element in difficult conversations is staying curious. This might sound counterintuitive when you're in the midst of an argument, but curiosity allows you to dig deeper into the situation without letting emotions drive the conversation. Rather than focusing on proving your point, ask open-ended questions. For example, if you're in a conflict at work with a colleague, you might ask, "Can you help me understand what's bothering you?" Or, "What do you feel could have been handled differently?" These questions aren't about finding fault. They're about creating an opening for dialogue and understanding. When you approach a difficult conversation with a curious mindset, you take the focus off of yourself and your own emotions, and you put it on understanding the other person's perspective. This doesn't mean you agree with them, but it shows that you are invested in finding common ground. It signals that the conversation isn't about winning, but about creating a shared understanding. During any conflict, it's easy to slip into personal attacks. "You're always like this," or "You never listen." But these kinds of statements don't solve the issue. They only escalate the conflict. The goal of any difficult conversation should be to focus on the issue at hand, not on attacking the other person's character or motives. One way to stay focused on the issue is to define the problem clearly before the conversation begins. Make sure both parties are on the same page about what the disagreement is really about. You might say something like, "It seems like we're both frustrated about the way the project was handled. Let's talk about how we can address that issue moving forward." By framing the conversation in terms of the problem, not the person, you prevent the conversation from becoming personal and defensive. Sometimes, even after you've taken a pause and done everything right, emotions can still get too high. If you find that things are escalating beyond your control, it's okay to take a break. In fact, sometimes it's necessary. You might say, "I think we both need some time to think things over. Let's continue this conversation in an hour or tomorrow, when we've had some space to cool down." Taking a break doesn't mean giving up on the conversation. It just means giving yourself time to recalibrate your emotions. It allows you to return to the conversation with a fresh perspective and a calmer demeanor, which will help you communicate more effectively. Handling difficult conversations well isn't easy. It takes practice, patience, and emotional intelligence. But the rewards are immense. When you master this skill, you build stronger, more resilient relationships, whether in personal or professional settings. Being able to navigate tough conversations without losing your cool or letting emotions control the outcome builds trust and respect. You become the kind of person others want to communicate with. Someone who can be counted on to approach challenges with clarity, grace, and empathy. The next step in your communication journey is to dive into the world of nonverbal communication. You'll learn how your body language, the posture, gestures, and facial expressions you use can either support or undermine your message. Let's explore how body language can enhance or hinder your communication, and how you can use it to your advantage. As we move forward in our journey toward becoming powerful communicators, let's explore the fascinating world of nonverbal communication. This is where your body language, the way you move, gesture, and even stand, speaks volumes, often louder than your words themselves. In fact, research suggests that nonverbal cues account for 55% of communication, with tone of voice contributing an additional 38%. That means a huge portion of what people perceive about you is coming from your body language, not the words you choose. Think about it. Have you ever had a conversation where you couldn't quite put your finger on why something felt off, even though the words seemed fine? That's the power of nonverbal communication in action. Body language reveals things we often don't consciously realize about ourselves or others. Whether we're aware of it or not, our body is constantly sending messages. Understanding how body language works and how to use it intentionally can make a world of difference in how you connect with others. Whether you're giving a presentation, having a one-on-one conversation, or trying to express empathy, how you carry yourself affects How people respond to you. Body language includes several components: posture, gestures, eye contact, facial expressions, and even how close you stand to someone. Let's break these down. 1. Posture. The way you sit or stand sends powerful signals. Open posture, arms at your sides, shoulders back, standing tall, generally conveys confidence and approachability. On the other hand, closed posture, arms crossed, hunched shoulders, looking down, can signal insecurity or defensiveness. Good posture isn't just about appearing confident. It also has a direct impact on your own psychological state. Standing tall or sitting upright actually makes you feel more powerful and engaged. 2. Gestures. Our hands are incredibly expressive. Think about how often you use your hands to make a point. Hand gestures can emphasize your words and make your message more dynamic. Open palms, for instance, signal honesty and openness, while clenched fists might indicate tension or frustration. Excessive hand movement, however, can be distracting, so it's important to be mindful of the energy you're conveying through your gestures. 3. Eye contact. Eye contact is a powerful tool in communication. It can show attentiveness, convey trust, and even help establish intimacy. Too little eye contact might make you seem disinterested or untrustworthy, while too much can feel intimidating or confrontational. The key is to find a balance. Maintaining eye contact for about 50–60% of the conversation is ideal, allowing the other person to feel like they're truly being heard and seen. 4. Facial expressions. Your face is a canvas for your emotions, and it's one of the first places people look when they want to understand how you're feeling. Smiling shows warmth and friendliness, while furrowed brows can convey concern or disagreement. Even small shifts in your facial expression can dramatically change how your message is received. Be mindful of your facial expressions to ensure they align with what you're trying to communicate. 5. Proxemics, personal space. The physical distance between you and someone else is known as proxemics. Different cultures have different comfort zones when it comes to personal space, but generally, standing too close can make others uncomfortable, while standing too far away might feel distant or impersonal. Adjusting your distance based on the context, whether it's a formal meeting or a casual conversation, will help you avoid awkwardness and ensure the other person feels at ease. Now that we've covered the basic components of body language, let's discuss how to use it to your advantage in various scenarios. 1. In conversations. During a one-on-one conversation, mirror the other person's body language to build rapport. If they lean forward, you might lean forward slightly as well. If they smile, offer a smile in return. Mirroring is an unconscious way of building connection, making the other person feel like you understand them. But it's essential to do this subtly. Overt mirroring can seem insincere. Be natural in your movements and let the conversation flow organically. 2. In presentations and public speaking. When you're speaking to a group, your body language can make or break the effectiveness of your message. Use purposeful gestures to emphasize your key points and keep the audience engaged. Don't just stand still behind the podium. Move with intention. Use open, expansive movements to show confidence and warmth. Pacing or walking the stage can add energy to your talk, but make sure your movement feels purposeful. Eye contact is crucial here too. Make sure to look around the room, not just at one person, to establish a sense of connection with the entire audience. 3. During conflict. Body language plays an especially significant role when handling difficult conversations or conflicts. Stay calm and open in your posture, even if the other person becomes agitated. If you cross your arms or look away, it might make the situation worse. Instead, keep your body relaxed, make eye contact, and use non-threatening gestures to show that you are open to resolving the issue. In tense situations, you may also want to mirror the other person's emotions, not in an exaggerated way, but to show that you are empathetic and attuned to their feelings. This can help to diffuse aggression and make them feel understood. 4. When negotiating. In negotiation situations, body language can be a critical indicator of your mindset and intentions. Firm but relaxed posture shows confidence without appearing overbearing. If you're sitting across from someone, lean slightly forward to show engagement, but don't invade their personal space. Control your facial expressions, especially when hearing a counteroffer. Keep a neutral or slightly positive expression, even if the offer isn't ideal. Mirroring the other person's posture and tone can help build rapport and increase your chances of reaching a mutually beneficial agreement. One of the most significant ways nonverbal communication supports emotional intelligence is by giving you insight into the other person's emotional state. We often pick up on nonverbal cues subconsciously, such as changes in posture or a shift in facial expression, which can tell us how someone is feeling. For instance, if someone begins speaking more rapidly or exhibits tense body language, they might be feeling anxious, excited, or even angry. These cues give you the opportunity to adjust your response accordingly. You could offer reassurance, slow the pace of the conversation, or shift your tone to meet their emotional state. Recognizing these signals and responding appropriately is a key part of empathy, one of the pillars of emotional intelligence. In the digital age, where so many conversations happen through texts, emails, or video calls, body language plays a slightly different role. While you can't see the other person's physical presence in a text or email, you can still communicate non-verbally through the tone of your writing. For example, the use of punctuation, such as an exclamation point or ellipses, can drastically change the tone of your message. Similarly, the speed of your responses can communicate urgency or casualness. If you're on a video call, your body language is more apparent again. It's important to maintain eye contact, sit up straight, and use natural gestures to help convey warmth and attentiveness. Mastering body language requires awareness, practice, and intentionality. It's about tuning in to your own nonverbal cues and making sure they align with your message. It's also about learning to read others and responding in a way that enhances communication. Whether you're speaking to one person or 100, your body language is a powerful tool that can either make or break the effectiveness of your message. In the next section, we'll take everything we've learned so far about body language, tone, and emotional intelligence and explore how to use these skills to resolve conflicts and build stronger connections in even the most challenging situations. Having explored the foundational tools of communication, clarity, tone, and nonverbal cues, we now dive into one of the most powerful and essential skills: handling conflict without losing respect. This is where your emotional intelligence and communication skills truly come together to create lasting solutions, deepen connections, and foster a sense of mutual understanding, even in the midst of disagreement. Conflict is an inevitable part of life, whether at work, in relationships, or within your family. Disagreements will arise. The key is not to avoid conflict, but to navigate it with grace. confidence, and respect. Conflict doesn't have to be destructive. When handled well, it can lead to growth, resolution, and a stronger bond between the parties involved. It's all about how you approach it and how you manage your emotions during those intense moments. Before we look at how to handle conflict, it's essential to understand why we often struggle with it. Emotions run high in difficult conversations, whether it's hurt, frustration, or anger. Our feelings can take over and cloud our judgment. When emotions are left unchecked, they fuel the desire to be right rather than to understand or resolve. That's when communication breaks down. In these moments, it's easy to resort to defensive behavior or to try to win the argument. But in reality, conflict resolution isn't about winning or losing. It's about finding common ground and working through the issue together. This shift in mindset is one of the first steps to handling conflict with respect. The first and most important step in resolving conflict is to listen actively. Listening might sound simple, but it's a skill that many of us overlook when emotions are running high. In the heat of the moment, we're often so focused on our own point of view that we don't truly listen to the other person's feelings or concerns. Instead, we're busy preparing our next response, or worse, getting defensive. Effective conflict resolution starts with active listening, not just hearing the words, but understanding the emotions behind them. This means giving the other person space to express themselves fully without interrupting or rushing to fix the situation. Ask yourself, am I listening to understand, or am I listening to respond? It's a powerful question that can shift the focus from winning the argument to truly understanding the other person's perspective. When you listen with empathy, you're signaling that their feelings matter. You're showing respect, and most importantly, you're creating an environment where both parties feel heard. When you actively listen, you de-escalate the situation. By showing that you care about the other person's feelings and perspective, you immediately create a sense of calm. This, in turn, opens the door to finding solutions that work for both sides. When dealing with conflict, your own emotions are the first thing you need to manage. It's natural to feel upset or defensive when you're being criticized or when you feel that your values or beliefs are being challenged. However, if you let those emotions control you, you risk saying things you'll regret or escalating the conflict further. Here's where self-regulation, a key aspect of emotional intelligence, comes into play. Pause before reacting. Take a deep breath. Count to 3. Step away if you need to. Giving yourself this space before responding is crucial. It allows you to process your emotions and respond from a place of calm and thoughtfulness. When emotions run high, don't just react, respond. This is the difference between a knee-jerk reaction and a well-thought-out response that leads to resolution. And remember, it's okay to admit when you're feeling emotional. Being transparent about your emotions, saying something like, "I'm feeling really frustrated right now, but I want to hear you out," can actually make the conversation feel more open and authentic. One of the biggest mistakes we make during conflict is attacking the person instead of addressing the issue at hand. When you make personal attacks, such as, "You always do this," or "You never listen," it's easy for the other person to become defensive, and the conversation quickly devolves into a battle of egos. Instead of focusing on the other person's character, focus on the behavior or the issue that needs to be addressed. For example, instead of saying, "You're so inconsiderate," say, "I felt hurt when you didn't consider my feelings in this situation." By speaking about the behavior rather than labeling the other person, You keep the conversation focused on finding a solution instead of placing blame. Using I statements is an effective way to avoid sounding accusatory and to keep the conversation productive. Rather than saying, "You always interrupt me," try saying, "I feel frustrated when I don't get a chance to finish my thoughts." I statements allow you to express your feelings without attacking the other person, which helps to keep the conversation respectful and constructive. Additionally, I statements give you a sense of ownership over your feelings. Instead of putting the blame on the other person, you're acknowledging that your feelings are your responsibility. This small shift in language can make a big difference in how the conversation unfolds. It's easy to let the heat of the moment derail your communication. Stay calm by practicing deep breathing and maintaining good posture. When you stay physically grounded, you send a signal to your brain that you're in control of the situation. This will help you stay present rather than getting lost in your emotions or in the past. When the other person is speaking, give them your full attention. Don't check your phone or look away. This signals that you respect them and value what they're saying, even if you don't agree. Maintaining strong eye contact and open body language shows that you're engaged and willing to listen. Once you've listened, managed your emotions, and communicated clearly, it's time to find common ground. In any conflict, there are often shared interests or values that both parties can agree on. Finding these areas of agreement is the key to resolution. Ask yourself, what can we both agree on here? This question will help you focus on collaboration rather than continuing to argue over differences. Once you've identified shared goals, you can move toward a solution that satisfies both parties. Remember, the goal isn't to win the argument. The goal is to understand each other and to reach a solution that works for both of you. The moment you start thinking of the conversation as a team effort rather than a battle, you'll find that the tension eases and resolution becomes much more attainable. Not every conversation will be resolved in a single sitting. Sometimes, emotions are too high, or the issue is too complex to be solved in one discussion. Taking a break is a powerful way to prevent escalation and give everyone time to cool down and reflect. You can say something like, "I think we both need some time to think about this. Let's take a break and continue this conversation later." Giving both parties space not only prevents heated arguments, but also allows you to return to the conversation with a fresh perspective. When you approach difficult conversations with the right tools, active listening, emotional control, respect, and clear communication, you don't just resolve conflict, you build stronger relationships. You show the other person that you're committed to working through challenges together, and that mutual respect is more important than being right. By mastering conflict resolution, you become a better communicator, not just in tough situations, but in everyday conversations as well. You gain trust and respect, and you demonstrate the kind of maturity that others will admire and appreciate. In the next section, we will explore how to master digital communication, how to keep the same level of emotional intelligence, clarity, and connection in emails, texts, and virtual conversations. Digital spaces have their own rules, and knowing how to navigate them is just as essential as face-to-face communication. As we continue our journey toward becoming master communicators, it's time to tackle one of the most relevant and increasingly necessary aspects of modern communication: digital communication. In today's world, much of our interaction happens through emails, texts, social media, and virtual meetings. Yet, While digital platforms may seem convenient and efficient, they come with unique challenges that face-to-face conversations don't. Without physical presence, gestures, and body language, we risk misinterpretation, miscommunication, and even emotional disconnection. Digital communication may lack the nuances of in-person interaction, but when done correctly, it can still be just as powerful. So how do we ensure that our emotional intelligence, clarity, and authenticity translate effectively in digital spaces? Let's explore this together. The first thing to understand about digital communication is that it's inherently more ambiguous. Without the benefit of body language, tone of voice, or facial expressions, words can often be misunderstood. Punctuation and emojis can help fill the emotional gap, but even these cues can be misinterpreted based on the recipient's perspective. Additionally, digital platforms often create a sense of distance. Even when communicating through a video call, the lack of physical proximity can lead to a reduced sense of connection. The recipient might feel disconnected or like they're just another face on a screen, which can make engagement more difficult. Because digital communication can be unfiltered, we also face the temptation of being more direct or blunt than we would in person. The ease of sending an email or text message often makes us forget the emotional impact of our words on others. This lack of emotional awareness can unintentionally create tension or hurt feelings. Now, let's dive into how we can overcome these challenges and communicate with impact and empathy in the digital world. The same core principles of effective communication still apply: clarity, active listening, empathy, and respect. But we must adapt them for a digital space. 1. Mind your tone. Tone is one of the most crucial elements of communication, and it's something that's hard to convey accurately through text. In digital communication, a simple message like "I'm fine" can sound passive-aggressive if the tone isn't clear. Be intentional with your tone. Use punctuation, emoticons, or even formatting, like bold or italics, to help emphasize your intent. For example, if you're happy to help, say, "I'd be happy to help," with an exclamation mark or a friendly emoji to convey warmth. Or if you're serious, use clear, concise language without trying to soften your message too much. This ensures your tone remains consistent with the seriousness of the matter. 2. Clarity is key. Just like in face-to-face communication, clarity is paramount in digital spaces. Because your audience can't pick up on nonverbal cues, you have to be explicit with your message. For instance, in an email, it's important to avoid vagueness. Instead of saying, "Let's discuss this soon," be more specific, like, "Let's set up a call tomorrow to discuss this in detail." Another aspect of clarity is ensuring that your message doesn't get lost or misinterpreted. Always ask yourself, is this as simple and clear as it can be? Whether you're sending an email, text message, or posting on social media, concise, focused communication is always better than an ambiguous message. This is especially true in professional settings, where miscommunication can lead to mistakes, confusion, or delays. 3. Consider your audience. Empathy is just as crucial in digital communication as it is in person. You may not be able to see the other person's reaction, but you can still consider how they might feel upon receiving your message. When you write, think about the person you're addressing. What is their emotional state? What are their needs? If you're unsure, you can always ask. For example, after a difficult conversation, you could end an email with, "Please let me know if you need any further clarification or support." Being empathetic in digital communication also means being mindful of timing. Don't bombard your coworkers or friends with messages late at night or on weekends unless it's urgent. Respecting their time shows that you care about their well-being, even if they're not physically present with you. 4. Read between the lines. Just as you should be mindful of your own tone, read between the lines of messages you receive. Since body language and facial expressions are absent in digital communication, it's easy to misread someone's tone. For example, if a colleague sends a short email, you might feel that they're upset or indifferent. However, it's important to ask questions before jumping to conclusions. Maybe they're just busy, or perhaps they're trying to be concise. Context is everything. Ask for clarification when needed. If something doesn't sit right, be sure to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. This is a crucial part of practicing emotional intelligence in digital communication. Don't let a misinterpretation derail the conversation. 5. Engage actively. In the world of digital communication, it's easy to send off a message and forget about it. But active engagement is essential to ensure that communication is truly effective. Respond thoughtfully to emails and messages. Ask follow-up questions when necessary, and provide feedback. For example, after a meeting on Zoom, don't just say, "Thanks for the call." Instead, follow up with, "Thanks for your insights. I'll follow up on the action items we discussed," to show that you're invested in the conversation. Additionally, make sure to acknowledge people when they reach out to you, even if you're not able to give a full response right away. Let them know you've received their message. For instance, you can say, "I saw your message. Let me think on it and get back to you by end of day tomorrow." 6. Use video calls when possible. While texts and emails are convenient, video calls are the next best thing to face-to-face interaction. Video calls bring back much-needed nonverbal cues and allow you to connect more authentically, whether for work or personal conversations. Consider opting for video calls when it's important to build rapport, resolve a conflict, or have a more in-depth discussion. Remember to stay present during video calls. Make eye contact, nod as a sign of engagement, and be mindful of your facial expressions. The more authentic and engaged you are on video, the more connected you'll feel with the person on the other side of the screen. In the workplace, digital communication often becomes the primary form of interaction, especially as more people work remotely. In these cases, clarity and professionalism are essential. Here are a few tips for effective communication in digital workspaces. Use clear subject lines in emails so the recipient knows exactly what the message is about. Proofread your emails and messages before sending them to avoid miscommunication and errors. Be concise. Avoid unnecessary jargon and get straight to the point. Busy professionals often don't have the time to sift through long paragraphs. Set boundaries. Establish clear expectations for when you'll be available for work communication and when you're off duty. Digital communication doesn't have to be cold or transactional. You can still convey empathy, warmth, and authenticity through a screen. Whether you're replying to a quick text or composing a detailed email, your ability to be thoughtful and empathetic will make all the difference in your interactions. One way to show digital empathy is through your language. For example, instead of saying, "I need this by 3 p.m., you can soften the request with, "Would it be possible for me to get this by 3 p.m.? Or, I would really appreciate it if you could get this to me by 3 p.m. Little changes in how you phrase your messages can show kindness and respect, and help maintain a positive tone, even in high-pressure situations. As technology continues to evolve, digital communication will only become more ingrained in our personal and professional lives. The key is to balance the convenience of these platforms with the emotional intelligence required to connect authentically with others. By using the tools and techniques we've discussed, mindful tone, clear communication, empathy, and engagement, you can master digital communication just as effectively as you would face-to-face conversations. In the next section, we'll wrap up our exploration of communication by discussing how to maintain your presence and communication skills over the long term. Communication is a lifelong journey, and it's essential to continue improving, adapting, and growing in this area. Let's explore how to keep your skills sharp and stay committed to lifelong learning. Now that we've explored the many facets of communication, clarity, emotional intelligence, handling conflict, and digital spaces, it's time to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Communication is not a skill you learn once and forget about. It's a lifelong journey. Like any skill, it requires ongoing development, reflection, and adaptation. In this section, we're going to focus on how you can continue to improve your communication skills, keep them sharp, and remain adaptable as your life and circumstances evolve. Just as effective communication takes intentional practice and awareness, it also demands commitment to growth. Remember, it's not just about talking well or getting your point across. It's about connecting with others in meaningful ways, building trust, and maintaining those relationships over time. As your communication improves, so does the way you interact with the world. You become more empathetic, more confident, and more influential. But that process is never truly finished. One of the most empowering aspects of communication is that there's always room to grow. You can always get better at reading social cues, listening actively, or adjusting your tone. The beauty of communication is that it's dynamic. You're constantly learning from every conversation, from every experience, from every challenge. Here are a few ways you can commit to continuous learning. 1. Reflect on your conversations. After a conversation, especially a challenging one, take a moment to reflect on how it went. What went well? Did you feel heard? Did you express yourself clearly? What could you have done differently? What did you learn from the experience? Reflecting allows you to self-correct and adapt for the next time. 2. Seek feedback. Ask for feedback from trusted friends, family, or colleagues. How do they perceive your communication style? Are there areas where they think you could improve? Constructive feedback helps you gain new insights and see blind spots you might not have noticed. 3. Stay curious. Keep learning. Whether through books, podcasts, workshops, or conversations with others. Make it a point to expose yourself to new perspectives and ideas on communication. The more you understand how others communicate and how to navigate different personalities, the better you'll become at adapting to various situations. 4. Challenge yourself. Set personal goals to improve specific aspects of your communication. Perhaps you want to work on your listening skills or become more assertive without being aggressive. Challenge yourself to make progress in those areas and celebrate each milestone you reach. 5. Practice empathy regularly. Effective communication is rooted in empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Continue practicing empathy in all your interactions, both personal and professional. Think before reacting. Ask open-ended questions and consider how the other person is feeling. Emotional intelligence, EQ, is arguably the most important factor in communication. Your EQ determines how well you can understand and manage your own emotions, as well as how effectively you can connect with others. It helps you navigate difficult conversations, resolve conflicts, and build lasting relationships. To continue growing in emotional intelligence, consider the following practices. 1. Self-awareness. Make it a habit to regularly check in with yourself. How are you feeling right now? What emotions are driving your thoughts and behaviors? By becoming more self-aware, you can catch emotional triggers before they escalate into something unproductive. This is a critical skill, especially in high-stress situations where emotions are easily heightened. 2. Self-regulation. Emotional self-regulation allows you to stay calm and composed, even when faced with challenges or disagreements. Pause before reacting and take deep breaths. Focus on maintaining control of your emotions, rather than letting them control you. This will allow you to communicate with clarity, confidence, and respect. 3. Empathy. Continue practicing empathy in your daily interactions. Tune in to other people's emotions and try to understand their perspectives. Listen actively to what others are saying and respond with kindness and understanding. By becoming more empathetic, you build trust and foster deeper, more meaningful connections. 4. Social skills. Keep honing your social skills by engaging with a variety of people and learning how to read social cues effectively. Whether you're leading a team, navigating family dynamics, or building new relationships, strong social skills will make you a more effective communicator. The more you practice, the more intuitive your interactions will become. 5. Adaptability. Emotional intelligence isn't about rigidly sticking to one approach. It's about adapting to the situation at hand. Be flexible in your communication style. Recognize that different people have different communication preferences, and adjust your approach to best suit the needs of each individual interaction. As we discussed earlier, body language is an incredibly powerful part of communication. While it's important to be aware of your body language in one-on-one interactions, it's also crucial to remain mindful of how you present yourself in different environments. Whether you're presenting to a large audience, participating in a virtual meeting, or simply having a conversation with a colleague, your body language will continue to play a role in how you are perceived. 1. Posture. Stand tall and sit with confidence. Keep your shoulders back and your head held high. This shows you're engaged and open, and it also boosts your own feelings of confidence, whether in person or on video. Good posture makes a significant difference in how you are perceived. 2. Gestures. Use purposeful, open gestures to emphasize your message. Avoid fidgeting, which can suggest nervousness or uncertainty. The more you practice controlled, intentional gestures, the more your communication will be enhanced. 3. Facial expressions. Stay mindful of your facial expressions. A friendly smile can go a long way in fostering rapport, but be careful not to overdo it. Authenticity is key. Your facial expressions should match the emotions you want to convey. If you're listening to someone talk about something serious, make sure your face reflects the level of engagement and concern they deserve. 4. Eye contact. Make eye contact with the people you're speaking to. This shows confidence and respect, and it helps maintain a deeper connection. On the flip side, avoid excessive eye contact, which can feel intimidating, or lack of eye contact, which can suggest disinterest or discomfort. As we've seen throughout this journey, effective communication is situational. What works in one environment may not be appropriate in another. As you progress, you'll encounter new settings, workplaces, family gatherings, social events, and digital platforms that may require different communication approaches. In professional settings, focus on being clear, concise, and respectful of other people's time. Stay mindful of workplace culture and adjust your communication style accordingly. In family and personal relationships, take the time to build trust, listen actively, and show empathy. When communicating in digital spaces, remember that tone, clarity, and intent become even more important. Be mindful of how your words can be perceived and adjust them accordingly. And if you're working across cultures or in an international environment, always be open to learning about different communication norms and adapting your approach. As you continue to refine your communication skills, remember that this is a lifelong journey. The tools, techniques, and strategies you've learned so far are just the beginning. To truly master communication, you'll need to stay committed to learning, practicing, and growing. As you continue practicing emotional intelligence, active listening, and empathy, you'll discover that effective communication is not just about what you say. It's about how you make others feel. It's about creating connections, building trust, and fostering understanding. And when you do that, you transform your relationships, both personal and professional. As you look forward, think about how you want to use your communication skills. Whether you're building a career, fostering relationships, or creating meaningful connections with others, communication will be your most powerful tool. Commit to ongoing development, practice, and reflection, and you'll be amazed at how much your connections, both with others and with yourself, will deepen. In the next section, we'll explore how to use storytelling to further enhance your communication skills and create deeper, more impactful connections with those around you. Get ready to dive into the art of storytelling and see how it can elevate your communication to new heights. As we approach the final section of this journey toward becoming an exceptional communicator, it's time to explore one of the most powerful tools you can use in your communication arsenal: storytelling. The art of storytelling is not just about telling anecdotes. It's about connecting, inspiring, and leaving an impact. Whether you're speaking to a room full of people, writing an email, or chatting with a friend, stories have the power to engage, persuade, and create lasting emotional connections. In fact, research shows that when we hear stories, our brains are more likely to absorb the information and remember it. Why? Because stories tap into our emotions, creating a connection that facts and figures alone can't. Think about the last time you listened to someone speak. If they shared a story, it likely resonated with you in a way that simple information never could. That's the power of storytelling. Let's explore how you can harness the power of storytelling to improve your communication and build stronger, more influential connections. A good story captures attention, builds emotional resonance, and makes a message stick. Think about some of the most impactful speeches or presentations you've heard. Many of them likely included stories that illustrated key points, brought ideas to life, or left you thinking long after the conversation ended. So why are stories so powerful? Stories allow us to see the world through someone else's eyes. They paint pictures in our minds and allow us to connect emotionally with a speaker or situation. Humans are hardwired to respond to stories. We've been telling them for centuries as a way of sharing wisdom, knowledge, and culture. And when we use storytelling in our own communication, we make our message relatable, memorable, and compelling. Let's break down how to use storytelling effectively in your communication. To begin with, every good story has a few key components. 1. A clear beginning, middle, and end. Every story should have a clear structure. The beginning introduces the characters or situation. The middle presents the conflict or challenge. The end shows the resolution or outcome. This simple structure ensures that your audience can follow along easily and stay engaged. 2. Emotion. Emotion is the key to connection. Without emotion, your story will fall flat. Whether you're telling a personal story or an anecdote to illustrate a point, you need to make your audience feel something. You don't need to be dramatic or exaggerated, but a touch of vulnerability, humor, or passion will make your story much more relatable and impactful. 3. Relatability. To connect with your audience, your story needs to be relatable. This means thinking about your audience and tailoring your story to their experiences, values, and emotions. If you're speaking to a group of professionals, a story about overcoming a work challenge will likely resonate more than a personal story about family life. Understand your audience's needs and interests so that your story speaks directly to them. 4. A lesson or takeaway. Every story should have a lesson or takeaway. This is where you connect the story to the point you're trying to make. Stories shouldn't just exist for entertainment. They should be used to reinforce or illustrate a message. Think about the moral or the insight you want your audience to walk away with. That's the true power of storytelling, leaving a lasting impact. Using stories in different contexts. 1. In professional settings, in the workplace. Storytelling can be a powerful tool for persuasion, engagement, and connection. Whether you're giving a presentation, leading a meeting, or pitching an idea, incorporating a relevant story can bring your message to life. Instead of listing facts and figures, try telling a story about how your idea or solution has worked in the past. Use real-life examples or personal experiences to show how your message applies to the real world. For example, if you're presenting a new business strategy, instead of just describing the benefits, share a story about a company or individual who successfully implemented a similar strategy. This makes the benefits more tangible and easier for your audience to connect with. 2. In-personal relationships. Storytelling is also a powerful tool in personal relationships. When you share stories, you create an emotional bond and show that you're willing to open up and connect. Whether it's a lighthearted anecdote or a heartfelt narrative about your experiences, storytelling allows others to see who you are and feel a deeper sense of connection with you. It can also be an excellent tool for conflict resolution, allowing you to explain your perspective in a way that others can relate to. For example, in a disagreement, you might share a story about a time when you faced a similar issue and how you handled it. This helps the other person understand your feelings and approach, opening up a space for mutual understanding and respect. 3. In teaching and coaching. Storytelling is a valuable tool for teachers and coaches because it can help explain complex ideas and make them more accessible. People often learn better when they can connect an abstract concept to a real-world scenario. If you're teaching a skill or coaching someone through a process, use stories to illustrate the practical application of what they're learning. This also makes the lesson more memorable and relatable. For example, when teaching a leadership principle, instead of just talking about the theory behind it, Share a story about a well-known leader who exemplified the principle. Show how they applied it in a real-world situation and the impact it had. While stories are powerful, they need to be told with authenticity. Your audience can tell when you're being genuine or trying too hard. Authenticity is what makes your story resonate. When you tell a story that feels true to you, it becomes much more impactful. Don't embellish the truth or add unnecessary drama for effect. Your story doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, imperfections can make it feel more relatable and human. The key is to connect with your true emotions. If you're telling a story about overcoming a challenge, don't shy away from sharing how you truly felt in that moment, whether it was fear, uncertainty, or excitement. The more open and real you are, the more your audience will connect with your story. Now that you understand the power of storytelling, it's time to incorporate it into your everyday life. Whether you're telling a story to a friend, giving a presentation, or writing a blog post, storytelling can elevate your communication to the next level. Start by looking for moments in your own life where storytelling can enhance your message. Perhaps you have a personal story that illustrates an important point, or maybe there's an anecdote that helps people understand a complex idea more clearly. Over time, you'll become more comfortable and confident in using stories to connect with others. Remember, storytelling isn't just a tool, it's an art. And like any art, it takes time, practice, and reflection to master. The more you practice, the more natural storytelling will become, and the more you'll be able to use it to build deeper, more meaningful connections in every aspect of your life. Congratulations! You've made it to the final section of this audiobook, and along the way, you've learned powerful tools to improve your communication skills. From mastering emotional intelligence and navigating difficult conversations to becoming a storytelling pro, you now have the skills to connect more effectively, influence more deeply, and build more meaningful relationships in all areas of your life. But remember, this is just the beginning. Communication is a lifelong journey. The more you practice, the more you will grow. And as you continue to learn and refine your skills, you'll find that your ability to communicate effectively will become one of your most powerful assets. Now, go out there and use your voice to connect, inspire, and make a difference in the world. The world needs communicators like you, people who speak with purpose, empathy, and authenticity. So keep learning, keep growing, and never stop improving. You've got this.